In Conversation. Everyone, welcome to this episode of In Conversation. I am beyond thrilled to be here with the chess legend Judit Polgár. Born here in Budapest, she became a Grandmaster at age 15, which was the youngest in history at the time. Became the first woman to surpass 2,700 ELO, and is the only woman to have qualified for a World Championship tournament. Furthermore, she has defeated some of chess's other greatest players, such as Garry Kasparov, Vladimir Kramnik, Anatoly Karpov, Magnus Carlsen, Vishy Anand, and Boris Spassky. For all of this and many more, she's regarded by most as the greatest and strongest female chess player of all time. Mrs. Polgár, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
So let's talk about your earlier days, being born and brought up here in Budapest. Any wonderful and favorite memory you can perhaps share from your childhood?
Actually, I started to play chess when I was 5 years old, as my sisters were playing already. And I was mainly at home, training and being with my sisters. Mainly we were traveling a lot abroad, and actually in Hungary I was not even traveling so much in the beginning.
Right.
But of course by now I travel quite a bit in Hungary all over.
Yeah.
But I have some favorite places in Budapest. I think it's one of the nicest cities in the world. So there are quite a few beautiful places like the Chain Bridge I like very much, or the castle area, and the Liget, the Hero Square, and those are nice memories.
So chess has historically been a male-dominated sport. How did you aim to change this, and what motivated you to strive to achieve great heights in the field?
As a kid, I was developed my thinking in this direction, as my two sisters played already chess and they were competing against adults and male competitors. So it was very natural for me to grow up in this vision and in this view to experience, and growing up in knowledge, in events. Everybody was telling me around me, my parents, my sisters, my coaches, that obviously there's no difference between you or other boys just because you are born as a girl. And it was so natural, and it became so natural for me that I was always taking it for granted that I was growing up this way, and I was raised with this thought, which I'm very thankful for.
Absolutely.
For my parents for that. And of course I'm also raising my kids. I have a girl and a boy, so I'm raising them the same way and with the same spirit. But it was always a challenge, as in most of the events I was the only girl or woman competitor later on, playing on the highest level. And but I was focusing on chess itself. I was excluding all these other disturbing thoughts or people being questioning what I'm doing. And with my results, I was always able to prove it that I'm just one of them, one of my colleagues.
Sure. And as mentioned before, you have defeated some of chess's other greatest players. Out of all those wins, which one do you feel is somehow most satisfying, and why?
Well, I'm happy that I can think which one, because I have quite a big selection. Some of my biggest victories, of course against Kasparov, it was a big victory that I beat him. But on the other hand, at least as important it was when I made the 2 draws in one tournament against him. That was the biggest fight ever I had with him. But of course there are other events, like against Shirov I played in '94. Right. It was one of the most memorable games. But also I played one against Anand, which from '99.
Yeah.
I played horribly in the tournament, but that one game was kind of game of my life.
Yes.
So I have quite a few very attractive firework kind of games.
Sure. And what questions do you ask yourself before making a given move in chess?
Well, many of the things comes naturally and intuitively, and most of the preparation is done beforehand, before the actual game. But also there are a lot of preparations, continuous preparation from day-to-day basis, preparation mentally, physically, but of course also detailed working out concrete, exact strategies, moves, positions. Also, when I played against the players who I knew in advance who I'm competing with, I'm preparing from their knowledge, their games, their strategies, how they think and what are their goals reaching in one game. So I'm trying to, it's a big battle between the brains and psychology, chess.
Absolutely.
And this was always part of the game for me. Of course, there are a lot of small elements, but when you go to the game already, you have to be prepared from many different angles. It's like going to give an exam.
Absolutely.
Of course, you have to have the right day and the right mental state and the mindset, but generally speaking, it's days, weeks, months, years, decades of work that actually on that day that you can show what you know.
Right. And I want to ask, how have the skills you've learned in chess, how have they helped you outside of the game?
It's kind of tricky that I think I developed my personality. It's only one part that what I can and I'm using in everyday life as being a chess player. But I think my life and my personality is at least as important that I'm on a very high level in this sport. And the two together, merged together, it helped me a lot. And actually I'm doing everything practically with this mindset. Being perfectionist, having ideas, being creative, being logical, replanning things, being ready for the unexpected. Stand up after a loss or after something goes wrong. How to handle victory, how to move on after victory, that you just don't want to go around and praise yourself how great you are, but actually next day you go back and you work continuously. How to enjoy the journey, how you position the destination, where you want to reach. So a lot of these things are based from the knowledge I have and I do in chess, the strategy and the way of thinking. But on the other hand, a lot of it from being on a very high level in chess. And because of that, I know exactly that if somebody is not working hard enough, then they shouldn't complain, or I shouldn't complain that I don't reach my goals. And you have to be resilient in many ways. You have to be always open to learning. Lifelong learning is very important. In chess is obviously very important if you want to improve, to be self-critical. We always analyze, and with magnifying glass you're looking your own mistakes. So to be able to renew and get new ideas and surprise the opponent and reach better results. And it goes for everything else what I'm doing. The only difference is that when you're competing, in many occasions there are two sport persons sitting in front of each other, and they both made their job. They both did day by day many hours of work. Preparation, like in the Olympics or whatever, and still there is only one can be the winner, right? And you put those energy, all this energy you put in to the preparation, years, hours. And in sports, when it's competitive, one wins. And it's not like that in other fields. Like since I stopped playing chess, it's I do a lot of other things, and I feel that in some way it's easier because it's not a competition. It's only a competition with yourself.
With yourself, exactly. And in August 2015, you were awarded the Order of St. Stephen of Hungary, which is the highest civilian award, highest civilian award bestowed by Hungary. So how was this entire experience?
To tell you the truth, I was never a person who lives for these prizes and awards. I was kind of course, it impressive, and it was a beautiful ceremony, and it's something that acknowledges my achievements and the progress I made through my chess career and later on in the education. We are progressing with my foundation, that we do a lot of activities for the modern kids and nowadays kids to get involved in chess and have better thinking skills.
Right.
But somehow I'm always a little bit feeling strange in another way, getting the awards. I'm so much used to it as a sport person since I'm very young age, that I work, I play, I compete, I win, and I produce the result there.
Yes.
And this is somehow an award for all these decades what I was doing.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you, what advice would you have for youth and especially girls aspiring to become professional chess players and grandmasters?
It is a very difficult question and issue. How come there are much less girls competing? On the higher level you go, the less girls you're going to see.
Right.
The more girls are dropping out. But I think it has to do very much on the circumstances of the social circumstances where they live and how people relate to them. Because in some families, like my family, they were very much focused on the fact that girl, boy, doesn't matter, you have to study, you have to learn,
Absolutely.
and then you will be successful in life. But not everybody grows up in such an environment, and this is of course whether you're fortunate or not. But I do hope that many of the girls will have the opportunity that they are raised the way that just because they are girls, they are not less smarter or anything like that.
Right.
But you have to look for support. It's always with friends, siblings, parents, coaches. Of course, you have to find who really supports your ideas and your belief, whether it's chess or it's anything else. But I think it's one of the biggest challenges in the 21st century that more and more girls can be raised similarly from a mental point of view as boys, that if they want, they can be housewife if it makes them happy, but it should be their choice and it shouldn't be limited by the parents or the institutes or the surroundings, that simply people are, it's enough if you're beautiful, it's enough if you have beautiful hair, it's enough if you're just helping out your family. No, I think it should be a cooperation with the mother and father, the grandparents, the siblings. So it's a very slow improvement, changing, but I think every small step counts.
Absolutely.
And we should appreciate it.
Yeah.
But fighting spirit you have to have, no matter whether you're a girl or boy. But sometimes if somebody's a girl, maybe it helps more.
It helps more for sure. And I want to quickly end with a rapid fire round where I just ask you, a series of 5 quick questions, and perhaps you could provide me one word or one phrase answers, just to get your opinions on different things. So let's start with the first question. Your greatest strength as a player?
Tactics, middle game.
Your inspiration growing up?
Sorry?
Your inspiration growing up?
My sisters.
The toughest opponent you've ever faced?
Kramnik.
Your most disappointing loss?
Well, probably it was so bad I don't want to remember.
That's fine. No problem. And lastly, your favorite activity outside of chess?
Being with my kids in the nature.
That's wonderful. And with that, that's a wrap. Thank you so much once again for your time, Mrs. Polgár. It's truly been a pleasure speaking with you today in Budapest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy yourself.